This is Off the Record, where I help you discover new artists and new music. I'm Isaiah. I'm so excited that you're here for this week's episode because we have two incredible guests. Jake Thistle, who's going to talk about his newest single, and Grady and the Hootin' Bandits, who's talking about his newest EP. But before we jump into those awesome interviews, let's break down this week's new releases. I can't start without talking about the newest album from our girl T-Swizzle, The Life of a Showgirl. You know, there's a lot of mixed emotions out there. There's a lot of mixed reviews. I enjoyed it. I loved it. You know, it's a break from what has been very lyrically driven to something a bit more poppy and relaxed, and I'm okay with that. As a fan, I'm totally vibing with that. But I know a lot of people have like conflicting moments about it. But this is the evolution of Taylor. You know, she went from country to pop to folk to whatever Torture Poets Apartment was to back to this, which is a pop album. But again, it has so many, like, if you listen to it, alternative elements that I just truly enjoyed it. So the song I'm going to share with you today is Wood. But let's talk about a couple of the other singles that came out this week. You know, this week was very light in the music world, but we had so many good things come out. For example, Benno, who we all know, I'm a huge fan of Benno, just released his newest single, Lose You. And this just, like, his sound, each track is different, but like all together, I would love to see him live. I want him to come do a California show so bad because his music is truly like, it's just this fun indie R&B moment that we're not seeing other artists do. One of my favorite songs to come out this year was from him, Butterfly. But he just released his new song, Lose You, and it just like makes you want to drive around with the windows down and just like stick your hand out the window and do that arm wavy thingy. It just, he really knows how to do it. He makes great tracks, and I think he deserves way more love and respect than what he gets. And we have Bodhi, who was on the show a couple of weeks ago talking about his last single, Drinks on Me, but now we're talking about his newest single, Blessings to the Grace. This is just so lyrically, like, yes, it is a fun poppy country song, but if you pay attention to the words, it's like, wow, that is rich. And it, again, one of my favorite drops to come out this week. So we're just blessed, not only by Taylor, by some incredible smaller artists that you need to go listen to. As much as I motivate you to listen to the big guys, I'm telling you, go listen to the smaller guys, because they're dropping things that, like I said, stick with you. So enjoy this week's new releases. Welcome back to Off the Record, your favorite radio playlist where I help you discover new artists and new music. I'm super excited to be sitting with rising singer-songwriter Jake Thistle to talk about his newest track, Alone Together, that comes out this Friday. Jake, how you doing today?
I'm great. Thank you so much. How are you?
I'm good. I just mentioned to you off camera, I really enjoy your work and your live album. I'm really curious of what your upbringing was like and who your musical influences were growing up.
Absolutely. So, you know, I'm the only musician in my family, but despite that, I did grow up loving music, sort of that I found on my own. So when I was 3 years old, my parents let me stay up to watch the Super Bowl, and they thought I'd get into sports or something, which is not necessarily the case. But Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers played the halftime show. Wow. And for whatever reason, I was just really mesmerized by it. So that band has been a huge influence, and a lot of the sort of classic rock artists that are similar that got recommended to me through algorithms or whatever when I was younger. So, you know, being from New Jersey, it's a lot of like Bruce Springsteen and, you know, John Hyatt and all people like that. So my upbringing was really filled with music. And I'm proud to have sort of found it on my own, despite it sort of being the generation before me that maybe my parents belonged to. So.
How old were you when you started playing instruments? I see you have the piano, you got all the guitars there.
I keep everything, it's all within arm's reach in this room. Yeah. I was 9 when I picked up guitar.
Wow.
It was just sort of one of those things. We had a family friend who played guitar. And when I was a toddler, he just gave me a guitar because I was a toddler. It made noise. So it was like cool by default.
Yeah.
I never learned how to play. I just would hit it around and I never put much thought into it. And then when I was 9, he's older than me. He started to get really good. He wanted to move to Nashville. And so his mother got sentimental and was like, that's his first guitar. We want it back. And I was like, that's totally fine. Dusted it off, gave it back. But they felt so bad to take it away from me that they replaced it with another guitar. And at that point, I'm like, all right, it's too nice to know and not know how to play. So that's kind of when I picked it up.
That's so cool. Do you remember? I love asking this question. Do you remember what the first song you learned on guitar was?
Yes, I learned I Won't Back Down by Tom Petty.
Wow.
It
Okay.
was one of those things I asked him to teach it to me that day. He gave me the guitar, and then so he taught me my first couple chords, and then I sort of picked everything else up, a lot on YouTube, and eventually, playing with other musicians on stage.
That's so cool. Well, you're very philanthropic. You've raised over $100,000 for a number of organizations. What are those organizations that you hold close to your heart and those causes?
Absolutely. I do a lot of work with the Tassie Fund. It's an animal rescue charity based out in California. I originally got into that through Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, actually. I guess all roads lead there, at least, because Mike Campbell, Tom's lead guitarist, and his wife Marcy are, co-president of this charity out there, and they do great work. And then in addition, I do a lot of work with the American Cancer Society and the Light of Day Foundation, which is benefits Parkinson's research.
That's incredible. Thank you. Thank you for doing that work. We all really appreciate when artists take their efforts out into fields like that. So thanks again.
Oh, it means the world. I mean, I always say it's like if I weren't doing it for the charities, I'd just be sitting in this seat playing guitar alone. So I'm like, I may as well, if there's any chance of it benefiting something other than just my own enjoyment, I'll try.
Yeah. Well, your songwriting is really rich and truly, like, the best word to describe it is grounded. What is your inspiration coming from right now? And what does your process of creating look like right now?
I appreciate that. I love writing songs. I've sort of been doing it as long as I can remember. So, I think a lot of it just comes from really wanting to tell stories and wanting to sort of develop characters. I think there's a lot of artists who are, story driven and character driven and just want to tell narratives. And then I think there's another type of songwriter who writes, to get things off their chest. And so I think I'm a little bit more of the narrative, but I'm working very hard to get toward the other one, because I think some of the most meaningful songs of mine come from artists who are really looking to like speak their own truth. But I just grew up idolizing these great songwriters and storytellers. So I think that's why I sort of gravitate toward that. And so I just have a lot of fun sort of trying to say things. And then when I look back on songs I wrote maybe a year or two, I suddenly realize, oh no, there was plenty of my own life that got into that song. I just don't notice at the time. I'm not writing and thinking this is because this happened to me. But when I listen back a year or two later, I'm like, oh, I definitely was referring to that, even if I didn't know,
Yeah. Do you feel like there are certain themes that keep coming back up?
Yeah, I think, being a fan of sort of that Springsteen style, and then also being of the age, 18, 19, I'm 21 now, 18, 19, 20, whatever it is. I think there's a lot of sort of escapism in my lyrics, and there's a lot of just sort of testing the waters and figuring things out, whether it's, with yourself, with a relationship, or just sort of your path in general.
Yeah. You've been on the bill of a lot of great legacy acts. Are there any words of wisdom or memorable experiences you've had with any of them that just like stick with you that you come back to often?
Yeah, I consider myself incredibly fortunate because, not only, the artists I've been able to interact with have all been incredibly supportive. It really means the world because they certainly don't have to be, especially when I was a lot younger. I remember, I'll tell another petty story while I'm at it. Why not? But it was Christmas 2016, and I got a package in the mail, and it just said, "To Jake from Santa, don't open till Christmas." And so, of course, I opened it immediately. Even though it was a week away, and it was 2 tickets to what ended up being his final show here in New Jersey. And I never met Tom, but I did get to go back and meet some of the guys, and they've all just been so supportive over the years. For my 18th birthday, Mike Campbell sent me this 1964 Teisco Del Rey guitar that just it plays so beautifully. So there's a lot of memorable moments just of those guys are so incredible at paying it forward and offering advice, and it just means the world to me.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, let's talk a little bit about the new song coming out, Alone Together. What's the story behind it, and what are you hoping audience take away from it?
I appreciate it. I wrote that song mostly on the road, actually. Like literally, I wasn't on tour. Like I genuinely on the road. I go to school at Rutgers University, and I live up in Bergen County, and so I do have an apartment down there. But I end up having to come home a lot because that's where the studio is and all my guitars. And so if I'm recording or going to a gig, I need to get some gear. And I take the turnpike up every time, the New Jersey Turnpike. And there's just this sort of area in the middle where I assume people get the sort of like New Jersey's ugly trope. And it just always made me laugh because on the left, it's like these power plants and these like billowing, cloud factory pollutant things, landfills. And on the right, especially because of the time of day I would leave, it's like the beautiful sunset on Manhattan and those buildings. And so it just seems so beautiful over there and so like hideous over there. And so that's really where I started to write some of that imagery in the first draft. And it seemed like these worlds were, both within an eye shot, but still so far apart. And so that's where sort of the alone together thing came from. Yeah. I don't know how apparent I made it, but that's why I put a comma in the title, is because it's like they're separately alone at the same time. Wow. And so that's the picture I was trying to paint. And of course it evolved a bunch, from there, but that's kind of where the original idea came from.
That's awesome. Well, I'm super excited for you to release it. I got to hear it early. I think it's an incredible song. All right. Well, now it's time for my favorite question. I asked you to bring 3 songs from 3 other artists. What are those songs and why did you pick them?
Absolutely. The first one I'll go with is a song called People Watching, Sam Fender.
Great album.
I always appreciated Sam Fender kind of in the back burner. Like I knew 17 Going Under. I knew some of the hits, but he just was always like a fringe guy on my playlist. Like I didn't listen to him a lot. And when that song came out, it just really made me hone in. And so I appreciate that song for that, because there's a lot of great music to listen to there. And also I think that sound it was sort of exactly what I was looking for that sort of modern retro, bridging the legacy acts I like, as well as the new acts I like. So I appreciated that. It really impacted, the sound we're going for. So that's my first one.
Awesome.
Number 2, I'll say, is a song by a friend of mine named Brian Dunn. And it's a song called Loser on the Ropes. It's the title track off a record that came out, I guess, 2 years ago now. But that was one where, I knew him just from the scene a little bit. I know him better now. So I was like, okay, I'll listen to it because, I know him. Yeah. And I put it on. That's the first song on the record, and it just sort of stopped me in my tracks. And I just did nothing for 40 minutes. I just kind of stared and listened, and that really meant the world. And the next one I'll do is another artist I've really gotten into this year specifically, is The War on Drugs. And so for that one, I'm going to go with Occasional Rain, which is another song that, like, there's something about those lyrics that, a lot of songs lyrics speak to me, but that's a song where not only does it sort of speak to me lyrically, but it also speaks to me from a songwriting standpoint. And any song that makes me angry, I didn't write it, I think is a great song. And that's one of those songs I listen to and I'm like, oh crap, I wish I wrote that,
Well, Jake, thank you so much again for coming and chatting with me. I'm super excited for Alone Together to come out again on Friday. But until then, I hope everyone enjoys City Whispers. To listen to the following songs recommended from either of these interviews, make sure to hop on over to Spotify and find the Off the Record official show playlist, where right after each segment, I play for you the music we talked about in this week's episode. Let's move on to the next interview. You're listening to Off the Record, where I help you discover new artists and new music. I'm sitting here with Grady, who just released his newest EP, Hoot and Bandit. Grady, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Good.
I always love to start out by finding out who your musical influences were growing up and, like, what were they playing for you? Not so much the artists you discovered, but, like, who in your family was, like, the music guru, and what did you hear them play?
All right. So both my grandparents, this is kind of where it starts. Both my grandparents are in a Baroque. They were in this Baroque group. So they play a lot of Baroque music. And I don't really like Baroque music, but that's kind of where everything stems from. And I guess my dad kind of likes like twangier rock and country music.
Okay.
And my mom loves pop music. My dad really likes bluegrass too. So a lot of them. And then my older brother played a lot of guitar growing up, so whatever he was playing, which was mostly rock, is what I listened to. But I'm from Colorado, so a big influence for me is probably like the Lumineers and Nathaniel Rateliff and
Yeah,
all those local Colorado people for sure.
that's so cool. So you grew up with like nice sounds around you.
Yes.
And a very
Yes.
diverse pool of music here, it sounds
Yeah.
like.
A whole lot of Baroque and rock and all the stuff. Yeah.
So how has your journey as a artist been so far? Like, what was the starting point of you wanting to create music?
Okay, well this is interesting. One of my buddies got one of those apps on his phone when I was like in like 6th or 7th grade.
Okay.
And it was like one of those like pad apps, so it had all these different sounds on it, and you basically like were like a little DJ on your phone. I don't know. So he started doing that, and I was like, wow, this is really cool. I've been playing like piano my whole life,
Okay.
which was like I wasn't really passionate about it. My parents just made me do it. So when he started doing that, I was like, wow, this is sweet. And then from there, I was like, okay, I feel like I had a pretty good ear melodically and like
Yeah.
vocally. I like to just kind of like freestyle with my friends jokingly, I guess.
Yeah.
So at one point I was like, I'm gonna be a rapper. And then it was like, no, that's not me
No.
at all. So I think over the past probably like 3 or 4 years, I've kind of just been like, not really like trying to find my sound, but just trying to be a little more genuine with how I sound and what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Yeah. So that's kind of been my journey. I don't know if that even counts, but
No, yeah, that 100% does. Well, I'm really interested of what like your process kind of was like for creating this EP, and what were the sounds that really influenced it?
yeah, I was listening to like a lot of Bruce Springsteen, interestingly.
Mm.
A lot of Nathaniel Rateliff and the Night Sweats. Some Jack Johnson in
Yep.
there. I mean, if you listen to it, it's really just a bunch of songs about girls. So that's kind of the influence. But I mean, I read a lot of other stuff, but that just felt. I'm 22, so that felt
Okay.
the
It feels
most
right up the alley of what
applicable.
your world is
Yeah,
right now.
it's kind of what I'm focused on that right now. I guess I don't know. Yeah.
That's cool. I'm very curious. You mentioned a lot of these like classic rock artists. When you were laying out the track list for the EP,
Mm-hmm.
was there a certain kind of storyline that you were trying to deliver across them all?
I guess in some ways it's like the arc of our relationship. If you, that's how I kind of understood it and how I structured it. But I just kind of like the flow of it in terms of like the vibe and the pace of each song.
Yeah.
But I think in some ways it's a story of many relationships all brought into one imaginary relationship, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what are your hopes for the next 5 years for yourself? This is your first EP, your first
Yeah.
release. What are you hoping to achieve down the pipeline?
Dude, I don't know. So I go to school at Emerson College,
Okay.
in Boston. So that's where I'm gonna flip my camera around. Can you see
There
me?
we go.
Let's see this. That turned it off. Here we go. So I'm on the Boston
You're
Commons right
hanging
now.
out in the quad.
Yep. So I have one more semester, and then I'm probably gonna go like ski instruct somewhere in Colorado for a little bit.
Okay.
So that's what I don't really have a plan. Artistically, I guess a big dream, like aspiration of mine, would totally be to play Red Rocks someday.
Yeah.
That's like my screensaver right now. I'm from Evergreen, Colorado, which is like 10 minutes away from Red Rocks. So
Okay.
I would love to play Red Rocks and like maybe get my grandpa on stage, play a song with him, bring my whole family out, play some songs for my mom and dad. That I feel like that would be a cool moment. Yeah.
Is there any show you've seen there that is like a standout favorite for you?
Yeah. Well, there's a couple. I saw, Flume.
Yep.
I saw Flume in high school, and that was pretty sweet. And then more recently, like Nathaniel Rateliff and the Night Sweats, I saw them there. Do you know Big Head Todd and the Monsters?
Oh, that name's not familiar to me. I'll have to go.
I'll plug one of their songs at the end. But that was a really cool concert as well.
Well,
There's some good ones.
let's talk a little bit more about the EP and the release as a whole. But I'm really curious as what your hopes that listeners take away from.
Yeah. I don't know, dude. I feel like most of everything else that I write that isn't about girls is more just about I guess they're more like philosophically rooted messages. So I guess this is just about relationships, and I hope that it makes people feel good, or they can relate with those experiences in some way, and find that shared experience. And I don't think it's my job to explain what value people get from it. I feel like that's up to whatever people want, you know?
Yeah. I'm really curious about the EP cover.
Yeah.
Who designed that, and what's kind of the story behind it?
My uncle Nick, he's not actually my uncle, he's like my dad's best friend. We call him Uncle Nick. His ex-wife, her name is Stephanie Hartshorn, and we're very good family friends with her. So I texted her. I was like, I can't really pay you much, but I could bring you like 2 bottles of tequila and we could paint something. She's like a professional artist. So I went down there. She has this really cool studio, and she'd say that I helped. I probably touched the thing like twice with a paintbrush, but she really did the whole thing, and it was really fun. It was just a cool like collaborative process to like tell her what I'm seeing, and then she really just paints it. But it was cool.
That's so cool. All right, what are some dream collaborations you have?
Dream collaborations? Okay. You know the Alabama Shakes?
Yep.
Love the Alabama Shakes. I think that would be really cool. One of my good friends actually just released music. His name's Jurt, and it's pronounced like Jurt. It's spelled Jurt.
Okay.
He's a really good buddy, so that would be fun. I don't really know. I've never really thought about that, to be honest. But those would be my top 2.
Your top 6.
Yeah.
Well, it's time for everyone's favorite question, where I asked you to bring 3 other songs from 3 other artists you'd like to share with us. Feel free to share those songs and why you picked them.
Okay. I guess my first one's going to be Can't Stand the Rain by Ann Peebles. Do you know that one?
Never heard that one.
Okay. It's like an old kind of like soul R&B song. It's got a really cool like cape sound to it, and it's pretty like I just never expected when you listen to it, you don't expect what you're gonna hear.
Yeah.
From the beginning. So I love that aspect of it. 7 and 7 by the Turnpike Troubadours.
Okay.
That's a really fun song. I bike to school every day, so I listen to like a good amount of country while I'm biking, just because I feel like it's just a good vibe to have when you're biking. Yeah. So I listen to that I've probably listened to that like the past 2 weeks every day. And then I'm gonna go with So Very Hard to Go by Tower of Power.
Okay.
Have you heard that one?
No.
Really good song. I forget what movie I was watching, but it was in the movie, and I was like, it was an immediate Shazam. So
I mean, it's Tower of Power, so I'm sure it's kind of crossed my. Once I hear, I'm like, boom, that's it.
Yeah. No, it's good.
Well,
so those are my songs.
Such a solid list, man.
Yeah,
a lot of
they're all gonna play after this, right?
Yeah, we're gonna play them all.
Sweet, let's go.
Well, Grady, thank you so much for coming and spending some time with me talking about the newest EP. You should be super proud of it.
Thank you.
And I hope everyone enjoys Hoot and Thing. It's now time for my favorite segment, 3 New Artists, where I share with you 3 artists to keep your eyes on. We're going to slow it down this week. Last week, we were like up there partying with Miles. We're going to kind of break it down a little bit. This one's not as slow, but I'm going to start out with Human. They're a Christian-based group, and they have this like super well-produced song called Tether that they recently released. And here's the power of social media. You know, I love when people submit themselves to me to check out their work, and that's what these guys did, and I'm so grateful that they did, because I really think this is such a good song. It reminds me a lot of, like, I don't know if you guys remember when I shared Co-Like. It has that same like electronical element that is not really being seen in the Christian scene. And then we have Dylan Denton, and he is, if the Kid Laroi like slowed down and had more of a raw emotion behind what he was speaking about. He just released a song called Gave It All, and this guy doesn't have that many monthly listeners, and I really think you need to go check them out, because he's just putting out good work, and you need to experience it. And then my buddy Sebastian just released Dream Song, and he's gonna be your new favorite pop artist. And the best way to describe his newest single is airy and fresh. You know, when you're listening to it, you feel like it's an overcast morning on a beach, and you're definitely gonna want to experience that. But those are my 3 new artists for you to check out. You're gonna want to run to go listen to those. I want to thank my guests Jake and Grady for coming on this week and talking with me about their projects, and I really hope you enjoyed this week's episode, and I'll see you all next week. Bye.